Hi, Dr. Scarecrow Crane Mun video. It's 2:30 in the morning here. It's a warm night. It seems like as good a time as any to record. Genuinely, actually, because so much of Crow is written at 2:30 in the morning. So, yeah, I'm normally pretty awake at this time, at least on a Saturday night. Because there's no work tomorrow, so I can sleep till whenever, and so I can do this now. So, hello. For those who don't know me, which is the vast majority of you, hi, my name is Blair. You can probably tell from my voice, I'm from Australia, Melbourne, Australia specifically, which is like GMT plus 10 or 11, which may explain why my role-playing time with some of you doesn't add up. I'm 24, I'm a Libra, I like walks on the beach and a particular fictional psychologist, and for the last 3 years I've been, a lot of you have been enduring me as Dr. Crane, and I appreciate that. And for my third roleplay anniversary I wanted to do something I hadn't really ever done before, and a video as myself seemed a good way to go because I always avoided breaking character as much as possible in that blog, because that was Dr. Crane's blog, and I like to maintain the illusion that it's him. And even when I had to do refer to stuff about me, I'd have him refer to his scribe, which he keeps kept in a dungeon, or if I was on holiday and wasn't going to be able to roleplay for a while, I'd have him in character say, hey, I'm going to my lab in the woods for a few weeks and I won't have Wi-Fi, so there'll be no updates, or something like that. And so, yeah, this is, I once put a picture of me on Scarecrow's blog, which was him again saying, here's the final picture ever taken of my scribe, so if you see it on the news, don't tell anyone that you know where he is, something like that. Anyway. But this is actually my second attempt doing this video. The first one was crap and recorded about 12 hours ago and was crap. And yeah, so do it again now, better. Hopefully quicker, because that was like 30 minutes, which is far too long to take up your time. Most of you are watching this out of kindness to me, because like, oh well, I guess we'll watch his friggin' video and we'll what do you call it? I don't know the word. It's 2:30 in the morning. Leave me alone. Can't think of everything I want to think of. Let's just get to the questions. Thankfully, some of you eventually got around to sending me some. Took some coercion, but thank you to the several of you who sent me stuff. Only one of you came off anon to do it, but I'll get to you in a minute. Let's just jump straight in, because the first question is, why did you choose to create a Scarecrow blog? What is it about the character that attracts you? From Anonymous. Thank you, Anonymous. I came into this with no roleplay experience whatsoever. I didn't do any Tumblr roleplay or any roleplay anywhere else. Did a lot of writing, but not roleplaying. So I'd recently gotten back into Batman quite a lot because of the Arkham Asylum video game. I didn't even play it. I just watched videos of stuff online, and I loved the Scarecrow stuff. And it got me right back into Batman, and obviously the movies as well, which are fantastic. And I just did a Tumblr search of the word Batman, just the most general search you could possibly do. Started scrolling through it and came across a Batman roleplay group that was calling for characters, which is insane when you think about it, because it's the Batman tag. So if I'd gone into that tag like 10 minutes later, I never would have seen that. And I probably never would have gotten into roleplaying because I didn't go searching it out. I just found that one post for the Gotham City Takeover roleplay group, long since disbanded, and I clicked on it and thought that looks like fun. And I'm on holidays and I have some spare time, so I'll just do that. And 3 years later, I'm still doing it, which is kind of insane. What attracted me about Scarecrow? What's not attractive about Scarecrow? He's very intriguing, and we've really only scraped the surface of the character, I feel, in comics and other media. and there's just so much more we need to learn about him. So as a role player, I kind of feel like I've got the freedom to fill in those gaps and to really talk about how he became who he is. I stick to the Year One origin story from the Scarecrow Year One comic, which is brilliant. And if you like Scarecrow, you should seek it out. Normally nowadays it's bundled with Two-Face Year One, which is okay, but Long Halloween kind of does the Two-Face stuff. The Scarecrow one's great. So what attracts me about Crane is that he has clearly a very complicated mind that we haven't seen a lot of. So I like to kind of get in there and stretch out some ideas from comics or fill in ideas that I feel the comics should have explored and didn't. He's a smart guy but a messed up guy, and that's often the most fun kind of guy of all. Yeah, I guess it's not. I never really. It's one of those intangibles where it's like I don't know why he's my favorite fictional character in the world. He just is. Arkham Asylum video game was great because it portrayed him as like this weird animal almost. And then you look at other media where you actually get Dr. Crane, because we didn't see Dr. Crane in Arkham Asylum, we just saw Scarecrow. Dr. Crane himself, there aren't a lot of comics that feature him. He's not really like the main villain in very many stories, but he's the main villain in all my stories, and I like being able to do that. And it's just, you got a lot of freedom with Johnny Crane, but you've also got a lot of cool canonical stuff to mess with, so it's a good mix. Another anonymous asked me what made me want to start this whole process. Boredom, really. Like I said, a love of Batman and a great deal of wanting to write more. I used to write a lot of fan fiction. Started writing Harry Potter fan fiction when I was about 15, and that was just me rewriting the scripts of the movies in what I hope to be a kind of silly, humorous way. I'll put a link to the old fan fiction account in the description of this blog. In the description of this post of this video, of the post of the video. So anyone who wants to see it can have a look. It's kind of crappy, but it was fun, and I like doing it. And yeah, I wanted more stuff to write, and something Batman related seemed cool, and something interactive with other people seemed cool. So that was really all it was. I made me want to jump into it. I didn't put a lot of thought into it. I didn't necessarily think it would be a long-term thing. I didn't think I loved it as much as I do. Just I do love it. It's great fun. Were there other characters you considered, or others you'd written previously? From Anonymous. You're all hiding your faces. I don't know why, but I get it. I write a ton of anonymous stuff for people, just as a way, because it's, you know, you don't. Some stuff you don't want people to know is from you because it's more fun, and other times it's like, well, we don't really know each other. It'd be weird if I sent you this, but you'll like this. Or you've written a prompt, and I know you want to receive prompts from people, so I'll send you one anonymously. And yeah, I get it. Anonymous as well. Were there other characters you considered or others you've written previously? Crane was the one, always going to be my primary character. But in the group, the Gotham Takeover roleplay group, I also considered being Bane. Bane's kind of cool. This is like pre-Dark Knight Rises, so that would be very much like sort of a Nightfall sort of Bane. Definitely like Batman and Robin Bane, which no one should ever roleplay. Of course you can if you want to. You might have a more interesting, a better take on it than Joel Schumacher had on it. Was that Batman? Yeah, that was Batman and Robin. I'm glad Scarecrow wasn't in that. Scarecrow was going to be in Joel Schumacher's next Batman film, but it would be played by apparently either Nicolas Cage or Steve Buscemi. Steve Buscemi would be wonderful. Nicolas Cage he would have said yes to it, but yeah, we might have dodged the bullet on that one. I also considered being Batman, or primarily Bruce Wayne. I feel, and then switching to Batman when I needed to, because I felt that in a roleplay group, he's someone who's very easy to interact with everyone, because he's both doing the hero-villain thing, but also doing the civilian side of it, where he's just Bruce Wayne, and he I'd kind of try to make him the center of the Gotham roleplay. Everything would kind of go through him in a way, but in the end I stuck with just Scarecrow. I wanted to focus on one character. That's still what I do now. I've had people say, "Hey, have you thought about role playing this character? The way you write would be good." And I kind of say, it'd be fun to do it very short term, but Scarecrow for me, I don't have a heap of roleplay time. I try to get a bit done every night, and I like to dedicate to Scarecrow because if I had a second blog, I'd struggle to keep up. Were there other characters you've written previously? So 3 years ago, obviously I started doing Scarecrow in I mentioned, the Gotham City Gotham City Takeover group, it was called. That group never really got going. I did some interactions with some of the people in that, and it quickly died off because I was told people were really waiting for, like, oh no, they'll be part of it. They're just waiting until more people start getting into it. But that point never really happened. And the Harley Quinn from the group said to me that there's going to be a lot of because that's just how I speak. I write better than I speak. I speak terribly. Which is why you haven't heard from me before this. The Harley from the group, the lovely Nicole, one of my very best friends now, which again is crazy because I was so close to never entering the world of roleplay, which means so many like good friends, genuine friends I've made now I wouldn't have otherwise. You should go follow Nicole, by the way, Assistant Darcy. She's a wonderful Darcy from the Thor Marvel Universe, the Kat Dennings character. I don't know anything about Darcy myself, but Nicole's wonderful. Let's go follow her. She mentioned to me that a lot of people from the Gotham group were doing a Harry Potter group, and that I should join them. And I'd just written a bunch of fan fiction for Cormac McLagan as like a goofball detective. So I just brought my McLagan character straight over into roleplay. And I stopped roleplaying as Crane for a few months. This is sort of a third anniversary post, and I've had the blog going continuously for 3 years, but for a while there I really wasn't role-playing as Crane at all. It was more of an ask blog, and I'd just post pictures and stupid comments and things like that. It really became purely just a Scarecrow humor, or Scarecrow attempted humor blog. And I did get Cormac McLagan, and that was crazy fun, and did that for a few months. Eventually that group died off, and I came back to Crow, and I jumped into a whole bunch of role plays very quickly. Some of who I still like. This was 2.5 years ago. Some of these people I still role play with now, like Undead in Sorrow, now Undead in Maud. We have a fantastic role play going, which has seen so many different sides of Crane and has developed so much. And there was Diablo Ray. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I said Diablo Rat for a long time. Diablo Ray, I've role played with for over 2 years, and her and Crane kind of fall in and out of each other's lives, which is great. The Little Harlequin, which is I could never put my feelings for that thread into words. She's sort of the only person Mike Crane has ever genuinely had feelings for, and that role play is just a constant stream of heartbreak and heartache, and it's wonderful to write, and so much fun to just hurt Crane in so many different ways. In a way, he doesn't get hurt by anyone else. He doesn't like anyone else. And also the Crippled Joke, which is a Barbara Gordon blog, which is no longer active, but the mun for Crippled Joke, Courtney, lovely Courtney, hello Courtney, I interacted with on the Crippled Joke, and Wendy on Wheels, which is Wendy Harris, and Misfit to the Rescue, who is Misfit, and Phoebe Crane, who is an original character who is Crane's daughter, and that's a very different interaction for Crane. And now Kare no Hogo, I think, Mikasa Ackerman from Attack on Titan. I think that's everyone I've interacted with Courtney. But anyway, when I got back into role playing with Crane, I suddenly I made an independent role play and got a whole bunch of people who were kind enough to decide to role play with me, and so I hit the ground running again with Crane and never looked back. And like I said, the people there I role play with there who I still role play with now, some who have come and gone but I had great fun with, and I can talk my screen there. And some like new ones I'm getting now who are fantastic as well, and it's just amazing fun still. Where do you find some of your inspiration? You're very consistent with all of this. That's impressive to hold on to for so long. From Anonymous. Thank you, Anonymous. That's very kind. And that ties into the last point, because I get my inspiration from the wonderful people I roleplay with. I've written a lot of things like Crane himself, just like I do these involuntary treatment posts every now and then, very infrequently, which is just Crane telling a story or talking about his philosophy. Because I like writing just Crane as Crane, about Crane. But being able to do it for 3 years is because I have people to interact with who give me ideas and inspiration, and hopefully I can do the same for them, because as someone who wrote like fan fiction for a long time, it's fun to write as characters, but suddenly like role playing it's interactive, so you give them ideas, they give you ideas, you don't really get writer's block, or at least I don't. And it's also kind of social as well, so it's fun, and that's where the inspiration comes from to keep doing Crane, because it doesn't matter to me if Scarecrow never appears in another comic or show or movie or anything, because I'm allowed to develop my own Jonathan Crane, just among other people in our own little roleplay universe, and it's great. The character can always evolve if I keep him evolving. That's one of the great things about roleplaying, is everyone interprets the character the ideal way. Like I couldn't pick like a single comic where if someone said, "What's your favorite interpretation of Jonathan Crane?" I'd suggest like Scarecrow Year One, but like we don't really see that specific Scarecrow in different stories. My favorite interpretation of Jonathan Crane is my own, and that sounds arrogant, but what I mean is just I was able to take all the parts of Crane I like and put them into one. And I certainly don't write him perfectly, but I can keep developing him the way I think is appropriate, and I can have him respond the way I think's right, and I get to do it by facing a lot of different people, patients and friends and enemies all the time, and that's what inspires me. And I've kept it consistent, not entirely. I've had some difference. I used to do like a split personality thing with Crane and Scarecrow, which I've seen other people do very well. But eventually I moved away from that to the Crane we see now. And I felt this Crane for a long time was too grumpy. So a little while back I tried to loosen him up a little. So it hasn't been fully consistent, but again, the wonder of role playing is you develop and change, and you kind of grow old with the character. And if you feel that they should be a little different, you can make them a little different. And so I haven't been wholly consistent with Crane, even though I've been consistent writing for Crane. But again, he changes depending on who I'm role playing with, which is wonderful and fun. Anonymous question number 5. Favorite types of questions to get serious or funny? That's like the hardest question I've been asked for this, because the cop-out answer is I love both. I always loved that people would send questions to Crane to have him answer, and more often than not I try to make those funny because I like doing humorous writing, and I try to keep the thread serious. Like roleplay thread Crane is like my canonical Crane. That's him being the character I want him to be, and then when responding to asks I can just have him talk about like going on a blind date with Killer Croc, or how he loves twerking, or something stupid that I just do to be funny and stupid. So serious, funny questions, I love them both. I try to, because they're both fun. I like the serious ones because I can then be kind of both a little dark and wicked and then be a little funny. Whereas if the question itself is funny, Crane generally will be mad at the person for asking it because he's not being taken seriously. But they're both great. Anytime anyone wants to send me something, it's much loved, and I have a lot of fun with it, hopefully. And if you have fun reading it, great. And if not, I try to keep it short, so I don't bother you for too long. Speaking of bothering you for too long, this is a 19-minute video now. But I only have one more question. So if you're stuck with me for this long, thank you. I apologize I couldn't get a more exciting backdrop for you. An air conditioner and some guitars, which I don't play, but I felt like this was an appropriate background because it's bland and white, and so am I. Final question, the one non-anonymous question. Arkham Siren Song. Thank you, Arkham Siren Song. Hello, Arkham Siren Song. I'm glad you didn't put it on anonymous, because if it was done anonymously, people would think I'd written it to myself, because it starts with, your sense of humor is to die for. Arkham Siren Song. Your sense of humor is to die for. Is Crane the primary written outlet for it? That's a very nice question. No, I love writing, and I've been writing for about 10 years in different sorts of ways. I mentioned Harry Potter fan fiction earlier. It started with me rewriting the films, and then I would sort of try to get my own characters and more in-depth sort of writing for them. And that was good fun, and that was always just humorous for me. Fan fiction, I always just, it was always me just trying to be funny with it, because that's what I like writing. More recently, I don't really write fan fiction anymore, other than for Crane, which is fan fiction. It's great interactive social fan fiction, which is what fan fiction used to be for me, because I'd interact with people through fanfiction.net, but I moved away from it because I wanted to do my own stuff. There was a novel in my late teens I kind of worked on. It was very angsty, angry. It was just basically me channeling myself. Being very critical of myself. I hated the protagonist of that story. He was a bitchy 17-year-old boy. Where did I get the inspiration for that? As a bitchy 17-year-old boy writing a novel. I never finished that, by the way. I got like 20,000 words into it. More recently, I've been writing like a kids' adventure novel. Kind of like, I guess, aimed at a sort of similar audience I have for Harry Potter, but it's not very Harry Pottery. It's just stupid and goofy and silly characters and silly scenarios, and it's just fun to write. So I do that. I tried to do some of it for National Novel Writing Month in November, where we used to try to write 50,000 words in a month, and I wrote 12,000, which is rubbish, which is a quarter. I'm a very slow writer, and that novel, I think I've got about over 30,000 for that. I'd like to finish it, even if I never do anything with it, just so I can say, hey, I wrote a novel once. And I got a few other ideas floating around, but yeah, I have other outlets for writing other than Crane. I write the most for Crane. I've written, it would be crazy to think how many thousands of words I've written in the last 3 years. It would probably scare me. I'm probably better off not knowing, because that's a lot of all the time I put into it. But it was great fun, and yeah, I've loved doing it for 3 years. And thank you. Some of you have been with me for almost 3 years. I should have looked you up. See who was like following me right from like ages ago and still is. Actually, Windows 8. Okay, this is Windows 8. You open the camera and it's an app and it fills the whole screen. So I can't minimize to look at, even the questions are on a sheet of paper. There, questions and some other stuff down the bottom. So I can't like access my blog while I'm doing this. Maybe there's a way to do it, but not that I know of without ending this video prematurely. So, but those of you who followed me for like a few years, thank you so much for putting up with me. For those of you who have just joined, I hope, I've just started following, thanks for agreeing to try and put up with me. And for everyone in between who's followed and unfollowed or role-played with me and then stopped role-playing, everyone I've role-played with, I've loved. It was kind of sad. Like, I think last night I was going through like my blog and looking at old role plays from like years ago, and some people we had these great role plays going, and they just like disappeared off the face of the earth. At least to me, because they stopped updating their blog, or they changed the blog, or they deactivated the blog. That's kind of disappointing, because man, there are like some crazy memories from like it's weird like looking back on the things I was doing 2.5 years ago, and I'd see something, I'm like, oh, I remember writing that at uni, and I was doing some assignment at that time or something. But it's been a fun roleplay journey. 24 minutes. Thanks for putting up with me, if you did, for 24 minutes of me talking and rambling. Trust me, the original cut of this video was so boring, and it was 30 minutes of crap. I wanted to keep this one to 15 minutes. I haven't even got close. I apologize. I don't think I have anything in particular else to say. If I'm role-playing with you now, thank you for role-playing with me now. I'm having great fun with all the role-plays I'm doing now. If you role-played with me in the past, thank you. If you asked me any questions, thank you. I hope too many of you don't follow this after seeing this video and realizing the annoying idiot who you're following and who you're role-playing with as Crane. Ignore me from this point on. Pretend it's Crane. Pretend it's Cillian Murphy at his laptop role-playing with you. That's far more enjoyable and some annoying Australian guy. Thank you very much. Thank you for 3 years or however long you've stuck with me, and that'll do it. See you again in 3 years for the 6-year anniversary, and we can talk about how weird I looked at the 3-year anniversary video, and we'll all laugh, and I'll have a third guitar in the background. Okay, thanks so much. See you in the future. I need to sign off. Oh, Crane says thank you for your time. I'll use that. Okay. Yours sincerely, Blair. Thank you for your time.